Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to resume our special meeting of the Delaware County Commissioners for our budget. And I'm Barb Lewis, President. To my left is our Vice President, Jeff Benton, and Commissioner Gary Merrill. Today we are going to hear from, it is the 19th, if I didn't say that before, November 19th, 2025, and we will hear from the Guardianship Services Board and also Regional Sewer and then the Engineer's Office, and we will start with the Guardian Services Board. Welcome, Eric.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me. Eric Penkel, Director and Attorney for the Delaware County Guardianship Service Board, Commissioner Merrill, Commissioner Lewis, Commissioner Benton. Thank you for having us here today, giving us the opportunity to present on behalf of the GSB. Nobody wants to hear me twice. That's for sure. I'll just start by saying that our board prevents adults from falling into the most expensive parts of the system. Hospitals, nursing homes, jails, and shelters. Funding our organization, the GSB, is a conservative fiscal investment that saves the county money, supports public safety, and protects the dignity and well-being of our most vulnerable citizens. We currently serve 62 of our most vulnerable adults. We have 2 hearings pending, with 2 more likely before the end of the year, so we're likely to be at just at around 66 by the end of the year, at the beginning of next year. These are adults who cannot make medical, financial, or daily living decisions without legally appropriate guardians. Our clients are aging adults, individuals with mental illnesses, folks with developmental and intellectual disabilities, residents with no family or network support. With that 62 number in mind, we've had 1 person regain competency this year. Pretty excited about that. It was a veteran. He spent a good part of his life, he's a young man, still in his 20s or early 30s. He had spent a good part of his life in and out of hospitals, interlaced with him serving in the military. But we were able to get him under guardianship for about a year or 2, get him on a good med regimen, getting him hooked up with the appropriate services. I believe Lisa over at Veteran Services is continuing to work with him. And I'm happy to report that he's a success story and he's regained competency and is a productive member of society. Not that he wasn't before, but he's on a good path to stopping those hospitalizations and leading a very meaningful life. I'm very excited for him. So,
Eric, but he remains in the Guardian program.
He does not. He's regained. So when I say regain competency, what that means is that the guardianship goes away. So an individual that is under a guardianship is, by legal definition, incompetent at that point in time. A guardianship does not have to last forever. And our young veteran here is a good example of that, where he regained competency within a short period of time. And it really just took some stability and looking at some key services, wraparound services that we could present to his life. And making sure that, he was on his meds, doing the things he was supposed to do, and his doctor, a physician, chimed in and said, you know what, he doesn't need a guardian at this point in time.
I assume that's the exception, not the rule?
It is the exception. It is more likely than not that once you're under a guardianship, you're probably going to remain under a guardianship. But each year, we certify to the court that a guardianship is necessary. So it is not anything that we take for granted, and it's something that I push our folks for. If it's appropriate that the guardianship should go away, then it should go away. That is the appropriate thing to do. We also have had, unfortunately, 5 deaths here in 2025 so far. As of November 19th, we have had 5 deaths. Folks that we've gotten to know. Spend a lot of time in hospitals being with them while they're on their deathbeds, because they have no appropriate, or they don't have just not appropriate family, they just didn't have any family to be with them. So I will take it upon myself to go be with them, allow them to lead this life gracefully, not in pain. It's the dignity that all of us that would expect, and with an organization like the GSB, we're able to provide both safe and competent medical decisions for them to receive appropriate medical care. And when they do pass away, it's done so in an appropriate setting. All our folks except for one, which was kind of tragic. It was a young individual, passed away in a hospital setting or a nursing home setting, so that they were comfortable, they weren't in pain. And most of them, four out of the five, lived a good long life. So I'm happy to say that. Despite our clients' high needs, 73% of our folks, or 45 people, are currently safely in the community. Only 17 require nursing home or assisted living placement. Community placement is not only more humane, it is significantly less expensive than county systems. The clinical complexity of our caseload is high. 85% of our clients either have mental health diagnosis, substance abuse disorders, or some combination of the two. Without guardianship interventions, these adults are among the most likely to experience psychiatric hospitalizations, homelessness, exploitation, and emergency interventions. Now, guardianship isn't a panacea. We don't come in and fix everything on the spot, but with consistent involvement in their life and a person-centered model where we're meeting with them and meeting them at their level, we do see over time that those hospitalizations, the instances of homelessness and exploitation especially, go down. I can tell you that we just took guardianship of one older young lady that was being exploited. Her and her sister were being exploited out of hundreds of thousands of dollars prior to our involvement. Very heartbreaking to see the things that they were doing. Basically, we're being scammed by individuals telling them that they won awards and they just needed to pay the taxes on it, and all of the things. I'm sure all of us have at some point received the toll text that you've been caught breaking the toll booths and you owe money or whatever. Unfortunately for our folks, and just not even our folks, but just the older population in general in Delaware County and elsewhere, that's something that scares them. I know my grandpa or grandma called me the other day saying, I got a warrant out for my arrest, Eric. And of course, I'm an attorney and I'm the first person they call. And I said, well, what'd you do? And of course, my grandma didn't do anything, but I had to talk her down. But our social workers and our staff work with our individuals and the supports in the community to make sure that those instances of exploitation are eliminated or are greatly reduced.
Eric, do you go after the money when somebody's exploited, or is that not your purview?
So I went to I don't know what it was called, but Attorney General Yost puts on a yearly exploitation seminar for older adults. I attended that this year down at Ohio State, and there's actually an elder justice unit that is doing a lot of great things, clawing back some of that money if they're able to. I know that a lot of this money ends up overseas, especially. So they've had good success. We haven't been able to, personally, I can't say that we've been able to pull back any of the money that, the one individual that I'm talking about, we're working with the authorities to see what, if anything, we can pull back for her. Because she's now not living on her own, she's in a nursing home setting. So we're working on that, but we would work with the appropriate authorities, Commissioner Merrill, to help with that. Demand for our services is increasing across every major system in the county. In 2025, we received 34 new referrals, 7 from service coordinators, 4 from mental health providers, 6 from DD, 9 from the probate court, 4 from APS, and 4 from hospital systems. The message is clear. Our partner agencies rely on us more than ever and are trusting us with their folks. Our work is intensive and often crisis-driven. In 2025, we've held 607 face-to-face meetings with our clients, and we've handled 201 after-hours emergencies, 38 medical consent calls, and 163 other urgent safety issues. We're truly 24/7. And I can only begin to thank my staff for that. I say this here to you, but one man. With me today is actually Brandy McCoy, our operations coordinator, who we had one of our staff was out on maternity leave, and Brandy actually stepped up and was the social worker for the summer, much to her happiness. Look how she's smiling back there. So she enjoyed that. We kind of tag teamed and rallied together and helped continue to meet our folks' needs, even with one of our people out. Interesting thing, Magistrate Reinhardt, who's a local attorney but also a magistrate in Union County and on our board, he's one of our board members, sent me some interesting things, and I just wanted to share this with you because I thought it was interesting. It was a study in New York about guardianships, and it said the national cost-benefit studies show that high-quality guardianship programs can prevent as much as $67,000 per client per year in avoidable costs. Hospital stays, ER visits, institutional care, shelter use. This study, I believe, was an aggregate over a lot of different individuals. But even if Delaware County even sees a small portion of those savings, the return on investment is substantial. I can tell you that our folks, the folks for law enforcement, the names that you would hear prior to guardianship and law enforcement just aren't showing up anymore. We have a couple individuals especially that spent 90% of their life in the jail prior to the guardianship. Like if you were to look at a 12-month period, one individual in particular probably spent 90% of his time, probably 11 out of the 12 months prior to our guardianship involvement. He has only been to jail one 30-day stretch over the last 14 months. And it's a real success story. And that type of lack of jail stay, lack of police involvement from the sheriff's office or the city police or what have you, really those savings are going to be seen and continue and will be seen. Our request today is rooted in both financial or fiscal responsibility and moral responsibility. Funding the GSB is a cost avoidance strategy that reduces pressure on county agencies, law enforcement, courts, hospitals, and long-term care systems. In closing, GSB protects vulnerable individuals from falling into crisis and protects county resources from being spent on high-cost emergent interventions. Continued investment is essential to maintaining safety, dignity, and community stability for the residents we serve. It looks as though I got final numbers from Justin this morning that I believe you have in your sheets there, sheet in front of you. I believe the total that request from the general fund is $246,420, $35,000 coming from the probate court, and the balance coming from the commissioners. I would welcome any and all questions, and most importantly, I really do thank you for your continued support because we're doing good work. We really are, and I believe that it is a true benefit to the citizens of Delaware County and your continued support. So thank you.
What were the figures you just gave again?
Sorry. 246,420. And 35,000 was from the probate court, and the balance would be from the commissioners.
Okay.
And how much came from the commissioners last year?
145.
145?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes.
Just
And that,
in the future, if we could have a little more breakdown, some of those numbers would be helpful when we just see the packages here, so.
and included in that cost, we are growing, we continue to grow. Once we hit 75 active clients, I believe we've already served 70, we're right at about 75 with the deaths from the previous years. But once we reach 75 active clients, we'll hire an additional social worker. Our social work staff caseload is going to be 25 to 30. Really need to cap that at 30. When you look at other counties that are running similar boards like Fairfield County, Portage County, they capped their caseloads at 30. And that is simply because, one, we're meeting our folks once a month, we're having these face-to-face meetings, and just the complexity and the high level of involvement that we have in our folks' lives. So that includes an additional social worker, which will allow us to allow our capacity to grow and allow us to grow in a competent manner to continue to meet our folks' needs.
How many clients did you have at the end of last year?
42.
How many?
42.
42, okay.
So we've lost 6, gained 26. I'm not great at math, but so 42. I looked at that prior to coming in. So we've gained 26, and we're going to gain at least 2 more before the end of this year, and likely 4 before the end of this year.
So you're gaining
30.
2 a month?
2 a month, roughly. Yeah, two and a half, something
Do you
like that.
expect that to continue?
It looks like Not only do I expect that to continue, I expect that number to increase. And the simple fact is that we have an aging population of moms and dads that have been caring, especially for our DD folks, that don't have anybody to pass that guardianship responsibility on to. There's that. I can tell you that we have 2 cases that are pending right now where we have good families that bought the individuals that are going to be on our caseload, bought them condos. They're living in condos. They're mental health individuals with, mental illnesses. They bought them condos. They've cared for them for years and decades, and they can't do it anymore. And that's not an uncommon thing. So not only are we just getting the regular influx, but we're getting a lot of folks where family members have just reached their end. And they don't have anywhere else to turn. And I can tell you the conversations that I've had with those 2 families in particular, first of all, they couldn't believe that something like this existed. They were tearful in the idea and the thought that a government agency existed that could actually help their, in this case, brother and son, who's been living with mental illnesses since 1997. And they've done all they could. Mom passed away, mom's the caregiver, and now dad and sister are around, and they can't, they not to say they don't know what they're doing, but they require the help of an expert. And that's what we're providing is expert social services.
How many staff do you have now here?
I got 3 social workers, myself, and then Brandy. So there's 5 of us.
Any other questions?
I have a
Yeah.
couple. but
Okay,
You
sure.
expected that, didn't you?
I was excited.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
would have been disappointed if there wasn't. So.
I don't know about that, but, so the funding, as I recall, some of this, because of the depth of, I like to have seen here in front of me, just refresh my memory about, DD pays some of this?
Yes.
Can you go through
Yes.
revenue-wise, who's paying what?
So the asked for contribution, I'm actually meeting with the mental health board tomorrow. I've sent on our request to both the mental health board and the DD board. Their request for next year is $127,500, I believe, for both of those organizations. So asking for that amount from them, then asking and receiving $20,000 from APS. Then we are also asking, I'm waiting to hear back on the grant from SourcePoint. We've asked for $25,000 this year. And we received $10,000 from them this year, but we far exceeded that. We exceeded that grant in the first 2 months. Like we blew through that. So I'm hopeful that they will fund that grant proposal. The probate court, obviously, here, those are our core partners. I can tell you that Ohio Health, we've had 4 hospital referrals from them, or 3 or 4 from them. And they pay on a per case basis to basically get them out of the hospital to save money. I mean, our folks, some of our folks, I remember one of them was in the hospital for almost a year. And he owed lots and lots of money. So they see the $8,500 that they pay us on a per case basis as an investment to save money across the spectrum down there. And then I'm finalizing a contract with Ohio State University as well, where they're going to have a similar setup as Ohio Health, where they'll pay us on a per referral basis. But in Ohio State, we took one of their folks this year. He's one of our individuals that sadly passed away. But I'm finalizing a contract with them as well.
I'm a little confused, and Justin, you may have to help me here as well. It says excess deficiency of revenues, and in parentheses, it has $69,498. So that means they're $6,498 short for next year? It says,
It's carryover.
it says deficiency, and it's got it in parentheses, so I'm just trying to make sure I understand.
So that's the carryover, I believe. Justin will know that better than I, but I believe that's our carryover. And then we're kind of a cash business kind of thing, and we need rollover each year, so to pay our January bills. But Justin can explain better.
Thanks, Commissioners. Justin Avi, Director of Finance. So if you look at the schedule, there's a column for forecasted revenues and expenditures in 2025. The projected ending cash balance in this fund is $69,498. And then the proposal only transfers enough cash into next year to get them to a zero balance at the end of 2026.
So we'll transfer enough to make that zero balance, is what you're saying? From
Correct.
the general fund?
Correct.
So is the request for, from the county, that plus the 69,000, or is that inclusive?
No, it excludes that. So the,
Excludes it, so it's really more of the request then.
uh,
So it's requested for the 200,000 plus 69,000?
no.
It includes the 69 and the 200?
The 69,000 is included in the cash flows for the fund. So we're drawing that down next year, so there's less of a cash transfer from the general fund.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
You know, it's a question I ask every year,
Yes, sir.
and I didn't, unfortunately, I didn't bring my folder, but if I recall from our conversation, I'm gonna say 2, maybe 3 years ago, and I'm a big supporter of this program. I think
Yes, sir.
it's a great program. If, I'm doing it from memory, so you'll correct me if I'm wrong, but you said each social worker could handle 45 to 50, if I remember correctly. My notes
20.
are downstairs, I'm not gonna get them. But I now hear about a number of about 33, which is less than I recall.
If
from
I
the
said,
conversation
if
2 or
I
3
said
years ago.
45 to 50, I was being way overly optimistic and I had no idea what I was doing yet.
Well, I can't, anyway, I don't have any.
If I said 45 to 50, I was wrong.
Okay.
Because there is, she'll quit and the 3 other social workers will quit tomorrow.
My request is simply, we need to be as fiscally conservative as we can and still do
Yes.
the job. Now, are you getting more, as attorneys finalize the clients they currently have, are they kind of getting out of the business, and one day you'll be 100%, is that the goal, or will that ever be reached?
I think that, so if somebody has money, there's always going to be an attorney that's willing to step up and be a guardian. Because guardian work is lucrative, if somebody has money.
Yeah.
But if folks don't have money, no, this is where the future lies.
Do the judges make the assignments, or can an attorney raise his hand and say, I want that one?
So anybody, the way the process works is that if you have an expert evaluation from a doctor that says an individual needs a guardian, anybody can make that application. Anybody over the age of 18 could make that application. We make it as the Guardianship Services Board. An attorney could make that application. But at the end of the day, you are correct, the probate court is the one that makes the determination as to who is the appropriate guardian in an individual case.
Would they tend to weigh in favor of the guardianship program, or would they tend to other factors weigh in their decision-making?
I believe that, I'll let the probate court speak for itself, but, you know, they rely on us frequently. We've had folks, I'll give you an example. July, one of our people that's on our caseload now, their mom died. Was their guardian for forever, and their first call was to us. It wasn't to anybody else, it was to us. And I have actually taken on that guardianship myself, and I like the guy so much, I'm handling it, trying to figure out how to be a social worker. But I just like the guy so much, and he's such an interesting individual. Was a musician in a prior life, and has mental illnesses. But we're more often than not, especially exclusively for our indigent clients, I would say we're the first call, for sure.
And one last question.
Yes,
Again,
sir.
I like to understand as best I can. You mentioned somebody had a condo a while ago, and you said those more lucrative ones that attorneys tend to want to take. Do we charge fees if they have the ability to pay, or is it?
So interestingly enough, we do have a couple folks that do have money, and one of the things I'm going to work on is charging those folks money. Yes,
Because if
charging
we
those
don't,
folks.
the attorneys would.
The attorneys would, and
to
I've talked to the
benefit of
attorneys.
taxpayers, we should try to
Yeah.
recoup what we can.
That is actually on the list of things to do going forward. Is our folks. So we have less than 5 people that I would say have assets, and we're only acting as guardian of person, just because these individuals have alienated everyone and everything in their life. And to be honest with you, there's 2 roles: a guardian of person, guardian of the estate. The attorneys are willing to serve as a guardian of the estate because they'll handle the finances, but they don't want the calls at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning saying, you know, we need emergency consent at the hospital. So we're willing to act in that stead. But We are going to start, and I'm going to talk to the judge about charging our few folks that do have assets, charging them a yearly fee to recoup some of those funds. And I will say, those two individuals, ironically enough, the condos aren't in their names. They're in their family's names, so the mom or the dad bought the condo
Yeah,
for
I
them.
just use that as
And they're
an
just,
example.
yeah, and they're living there. They're broke as a joke. They don't have anything, but their families have money. We've seen, not in our more affluent families, but in a lot of families, sometimes folks just walk away. And if, in those two instances I talked about where the families bought their kiddos condos, what's stopping them from walking away? So it's kind of a scary thing to think about, but we have seen families just walk away.
Okay, I'll just in closing, just ask, be as fiscally as conservative as possible. Make
Yes, sir.
sure you can stretch the dollars as far as you can to the benefit of the taxpayers, and that's my request. Okay? That's all I have.
Am I conservative, Brandy? Yes.
Yeah, she
Yes,
couldn't
ma'am.
say anything but yes, could she? If she said no, you would have, what would
You
you
know how
do?
often she tells me no? She's my muse. She's great at keeping me in line, and she does such good work. You really do good work, Brandy. Thank you.
That's all I have.
What is your actual ask then to us as far as your budget?
211,420.
Okay.
And everyone else that's contributing is contributing as much as last year or more,
Yes. I've asked for increases from each organization.
and all are doing that?
APS said yes. I believe I'm meeting with the mental health board tomorrow night. I haven't heard anything back from Deanna on that one. Asked for more from Source Point, still waiting here on the grant. And then DD is still going through their budget process. I haven't heard back from them yet. But I have asked for the same amount for the mental health board and the DD board.
So when you come with the number of 211,420, is that based on the assumption that you're gonna get the same as you got last year from them? or
No, that is
with an
based
increase?
upon my requests from them.
Okay.
It's
so
not
this-
based upon last year's request, no.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions?
Other questions for me?
Okay.
See you at the Stepping Up meeting with
Yes.
Judge Stratton.
Yes.
So that'll be fun. So thank you,
Yes,
commissioners. I
thank
really
you.
appreciate your continued
Eric.
support.
Thanks, Eric. Thank you for the team, too. Tough work.
Do you wish to recess or?
Oh, we do have,
Tiffany's out there.
I think Tiffany is,
She's sitting out there on the
You've been out
bench.
there for 30
Oh.
minutes, actually.
yeah.
Okay, so you are on record.
Tiffany's budget will be behind the enterprise tab,
Where is it?
behind the enterprise tab in your
Oh,
budget
thank
book.
you.
Yes.
Okay, I found it.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Do you want me to stand up here?
You can stand or sit, whatever you would like to do.
Sorry, did you give me everything? There it is.
Hello.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, you want to do that first?
just trying to open up we have some drone footage we wanted to pull up in the middle of the presentation, so see if it'll open. If not, we can always, oh, perfect, you got
All
it.
right,
Don't look.
very good.
What about, what's up with this mouse? Can I,
Just click it.
think that's okay?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, I'm ready whenever.
All right, we're ready. Welcome, Tiffany.
Great, thank you.
And the team.
Can we go ahead and introduce everybody?
Yes, that'd be
Okay,
great, thank
great.
you.
Tiffany Mag, Director of Environmental Services. Here with the Regional Sewer District, we have Eric McPeak, the Deputy Director of Operations, Jason Watts, who is the Operations Superintendent, and Gina DeWitt, who is the Fiscal Utility Billing and Administrative Supervisor.
Thank you.
Great. With that, we'll go ahead and get started. So kicking off, first slide here with our 2025 in review. Capacity fees, we budgeted $12 million in 2025. We are coming in, looks like we're likely going to be a little short of that. 11.1 million are the forecasted actuals for the end of the year. That does not include about $1.7 million in TAP credits that were issued to developers of Clarkshaw Crossing. If you remember that, the Sawmill Crossing that we had, where we had the issues with getting that micro tunnel
Yeah,
under the
right.
roundabout. That was about $1 million in credits, and then another roughly $700,000 on Redwood, which is a POW apartment complex where they installed a force main across the eastern border of the entire, basically, we have an easement and an installed force main along the eastern border of their entire development. That in the future, we'll be able to redirect a pump station into that force main and then over to Home Road. So it'll allow us to decommission a pump station. So they had roughly 700,000-ish in credits that they used this year. So with that included, we would have been over our budget already for 2025. Inspection fees and plan review fees are a little low. You can see we're 88,000 under what we had budgeted is what we're projecting for inspection fees, and then 62,000 for plan review fees. We did have a lot of plans come in the door this year. We had, I think, 24 new plan sets. In comparison, last year at this time we had 16. However, they were bigger subdivisions last year with a lot of multifamily, so the fees were just higher. So we were still seeing a lot of development come through this year, but it just happened to be some smaller type of subdivisions. User fees are still obviously strong. I think even a little stronger than what we had budgeted. We're 276,000 ahead on those is what we're projecting for the end of the year. And then other sources, the majority of that is delinquencies. We're pretty much on track to collect what we had anticipated for the end of the year. So with that, I'll take any questions on the revenues from 2025.
Questions?
Okay.
No.
And then on operating expenses down below, we are quite a bit under what we had budgeted for 2025 on services and charges. We're coming in about 850,000 below. A lot of that was professional services. We didn't spend as much in professional services as we had budgeted. Also, we had centrifuge repairs and CCTV repairs, both of which we purchased a new centrifuge as part of the OECC project, so we didn't have to do any repairs. We didn't have to use that budgeted money. Basically what happens is we had one centrifuge, and when we would have to send that centrifuge in for maintenance, we would have to do a rental centrifuge to continue to process those biosolids for the month or month and a half that it took to get that thing back. Now we no longer have to do that. We have two centrifuges right there on site. We no longer have to pay for that service while one of the centrifuges is out for repairs. Materials and supplies were about 200,000 under what we had budgeted. That's a lot of just miscellaneous items, nothing really big that I can really speak to that was not purchased. And then salaries and benefits, you can see on the bottom, I'm not going to talk about all of the positions, but we had a whole lot of positions that were not filled in 2025 that we're still working on filling. I think we're doing a better job on filling a lot of those, but throughout the course of 2025, that was a big impact to the budget. So any questions on the expenses? All right, so moving on to 2026. So you can see the first column is the 2025 and the forecasted actuals in the middle that we just talked about. So on the far right column, I'll kind of talk about that one, the 2026 budget. The 11.2 million on capacity fees, I think, like I mentioned, we are seeing still pretty strong amount of new development come in. We are seeing a little bit of an uptick on multifamily again. I think we had and I have a slide coming up that explains it a little bit better, but I think we had 300 new units approved in 2025, but it's more like 700 coming in for 2026. So I think that'll kind of get us back to closer to where we were looking at last year. Inspection fees and plan review fees, these were numbers that Justin helped us out with, just I think through his financial modeling and how we budgeted those. I think very similar to what we're seeing this year. And then user fees, same thing. I think we included, I'll have it on the upcoming slide here, 1,382 new connections in the budget, which is a little less than what we budgeted for this year. And then other sources, once again, is mostly that is delinquencies. So I think we're budgeting just a little bit less than that. I know Gina's group is doing a great job of trying to follow up with the delinquent customers and make sure that they get on auto pay and things like that have really been helping us reduce those delinquencies. And then as far as operating expenses, services and charges are a little higher in 2026. This is mostly due to the AEP bills being higher. We're budgeting an additional $400,000 just for power. Also, biosolids hauling and disposal. We are currently in the process of bidding that out right now. We're expecting that cost to increase. We have really cheap rates right now with Rumpke. Rumpke is interested in continuing on with that, and we'll talk about that a little bit more on the operations slides, but we're expecting that number to increase. And then materials and supplies, this is actually a slight decrease from the budget from 2025. Pretty steady, no real changes with that number. And then salaries and benefits. This is, we're budgeting, I think we have 11 vacancies to fill in 2026. But you can see the number in 2025, the forecasted actuals is very low. We actually had, I think we turned over 15 employees in 2025, only 3 of which happened after we had the increases to the union pay, and none of those 3 left due to wages. So I think we're in a much better position to be able to staff up in 2026. Any questions on those numbers? Okay, so then diving in a little deeper into the revenues. So I mentioned previously the capacity fees were budgeting 11.2 million in 2026, and then the user fees are 23.5. These were numbers that Justin helped us through his financial model, coming up with that number of taps at 1,382 for 2026. So I think the numbers are likely going to be similar to what we saw this year, maybe some more multifamily. So you can see in the information below, 1,255 new ERUs have been added to the system through November 1st of this year, when we had budgeted 1,481. So we're pretty close to meeting the budget. The tap fees I mentioned, 1.73 million was redeemed through those 2 projects. And then we also saw 410 less multifamily connections compared to what we had in 2024. So then down at the bottom, you can see we have multifamily complexes representing 603 units that we expect. Not all of them will tap in 2026. Some of them will roll into 2027 as well. And then at the bottom, capacity fees are still $8,100. There's no change to that, but the user fees will go to $41, so an increase of $1 in January of 2026. And then this is the chart we've updated annually. You can see we're a little over 1,500 new connections for 2025. 2024 was an anomaly, being over 2,200 new connections. I think back in the day, prior to 2016, we were budgeting 750. So now we're budgeting almost double that, which is incredible. And then these are kind of the bigger numbers that I wanted to talk about. Utilities, AEP is the big one, $400,000 increase to the budget there. And then gas is $10,000 more. Also the salaries, I think you're all aware of that. You know, we had the CBA wage increases, which have increased those by $420,000. And then sludge hauling and disposal, this is kind of an unknown at this point until we get the bids back in the next few weeks. But for now, we put in $100,000 additional as a placeholder for 2026. And then the software licenses, $45,000 above what we budgeted in 2025. This is due to the Samsara vehicle tracking. We're using some AI CCTV software that will code the piping, all of the information that we already have in our system. It'll take that and, you know, basically spit out information much quicker than we could ever do it, which is another software that we're going to be utilizing in 2026. And then central cost allocation, this is an increase from 2025 as well. So overall, everything included, even salaries and everything, were a total 3% increase on that from 2025 for all the O&M numbers. All right, so that's the numbers. Any questions on the numbers before I dive into some of the projects? Okay, so I'll start off with the future service area capital projects. So Central Allen Creek, I think everyone's pretty much up to speed on this. We did obtain approval of the conceptual alternative from the Army Corps a couple months ago. And that included both of these discharge options. I can't use my pointer, you won't be able to see it. I just realized that. So option one is directly to the east. Well, they won't be able to see it. So yeah, so directly to the east is option one, and it's actually, this is the kind of it's actually option second in the preference from the Army Corps' perspective, but it's in an AEP easement or power line easement that goes directly to the east. We're looking at potentially either a surface level discharge or a submerged discharge. Same thing with option two, which is down the south side of the peninsula. This is the option that's preferred by the Army Corps at the current time because there's already a corridor for an emergency pathway all the way down to the water. And their preference is to not cut down trees. So I think that alleviates some of the concerns with cutting down trees and gets us what we need with a corridor for a discharge.
So they're now on board discharging directly into the lake.
They are allowing us to proceed forward with the conceptual alternative to discharge at both of these locations with their current preference being on the south side. So what we have to do is we have to prepare a water quality model, which we're already doing that. We have Geosyntech under contract to prepare that model to prove that this will not be a negative impact to the lake. At the same time, the Army Corps also has requirements for us to do an environmental assessment. That's all part of their package. So once you pass the first step, which is the approval of the conceptual alternative, then you have to go into the environmental assessment package, which is a year-long process that we have to basically go through a phase one assessment, which is archaeological, geotechnical, all the things to prove that we're not going to be, you know, detrimenting the area that we're trying to build this through the Army Corps land. They'll also be very interested in tree removals, so we'll need to make sure that we minimize those as much as possible, which we can do on that alternative to the south. So it will be a year-long process. At the end of that year, then we'll know if we get full approval, if they still prefer the southern discharge or the eastern discharge, and if they prefer the submerged discharge or the surface discharge.
Are the costs substantially different based on surface versus submerged versus distance, one being longer than the other?
Yeah, I think installation cost of the submerged will be significantly more. I'm not sure what that number is at this point in time. Also, it's just, you have to actually build, like, you have to dam up the water and to be able to work inside to build a discharge below the surface. So that's a huge expense during construction. Long term, we would have to hire divers to go out there and investigate, make sure everything is, you know, working as it should underneath the surface. Not that would be a huge cost, but I think it would just be, you know, something where we're trying to help educate the Army Corps. We probably don't really want to be out there with divers on a routine basis. Yeah, we prefer the surface. That's what we have everywhere else. So, submerged discharges are really more for like Lake Erie, right? So they'll have a submerged discharge from, you know, city of wherever, Cleveland, like 2 miles out into the lake. Well, this isn't This isn't that situation, right? This is really more appropriate to be a surface level discharge, which is what we're still trying to push for.
What's the difference in cost between the two routes? Just the construction costs, putting the lines in?
Probably nothing significant, because the southern one it's more lineal footage, but it's just a force main, which are not all that expensive to construct. The eastern one, there's some issues with kind of routing around the power lines and then how we would set up the discharge. So I wouldn't expect either one to be significant. I think the big driver is trying to get a surface discharge versus a submerged.
Okay.
Our history, the fluent that we would be putting in the lake is probably better than.
That's
I'm
what
trying to
we're,
be careful how I say it.
that's what we're trying to prove with the water quality model, yes. So anyway, so we will do that part of the project in 2026, and then we anticipate starting design in 2027, roughly year and a half-ish process, and then construction after that. All right, next project is East Alum Creek Pump Stations. This kind of goes hand in hand because it's over near the outlet mall area. This isn't a great map, but it's just south of 3637 off of Africa Road. This is the project I've been coming into session a couple times to get the project rolling from design and then also hiring a CMAR contractor. So we have budgeted for $400,000 for design in 2026, and then starting construction for roughly $1 million of that total $3.5 million cost, and then finishing the project in 2027. This right now is a bottleneck area. We have developers that want to get some larger scale projects going north of 3637 that we have to kind of tap the brakes on a little bit until we can get this project up and running, because it will, in the near term, it'll triple the size of that pump station, but then it'll continue to send flow to the south for now, because obviously we don't have the new plant. But the long-term plan would then be to build that dotted line up into the new plant would be the force main, and we could again double the size of the pump station again. And that handles the long-term build out of that whole area over near the outlet mall. So it's kind of a short-term solution for now to allow development to continue to occur, but then the long-term solution gets us full build out of
So
that
you
area.
can do that, you expect to be able to finish the construction in 27 then?
Yes, yeah, we
And-
already have a CMAR on board. Well, I'll be in on Monday to get that agreement through on session, to have the contractor on board
Okay.
to start that project. But yeah, they fully anticipate doing early GMP packages so that they can order the longer lead time equipment
Sure.
and get it done in that time frame.
So you think it'll provide service to the north of 36 as well as the south?
Yeah, it currently does, but we just have to limit how much additional flow it can take. So you can see the sewer network with the green lines, they already go up there north of 3637.
Okay.
All right, and then Harlem Township Trunk Sewer is the last future service area that I want to talk about. This project, 2026, we plan on doing the preliminary alignment study and then getting started with design. So I'm going to talk a little bit about kind of the big picture on this slide, and then I have another slide that shows you zoom in of the area that we're actually really trying to focus on. So the city of Columbus, their tunnel comes up to Smothers Road, which is that green line that you can see kind of just south of the purple dash line that's coming across. So our plan would be to tie into that tunnel, that shaft, and then bring the sewer up Harlem Road. And then once we get up to, it's the Jaeger parcel on the corner of Harlem Road where it starts to become developable acreage. And at that point, we would then try to determine, do we need to head east based on development needs, or do we continue to head north and then east, depending on what type of development we see coming in at that time. So we have been working with all of the landowners in this area. We've met with, I think, anyone you can see on this map that has developable acreage, we've met with them. There's a lot right now of residential home builders is what we're hearing from, but the area between the blue line and the orange line is a business park. So I've been working with Dana and Tracy on trying to figure out how are we going to eventually reimburse the cost of this sewer through what potentially is coming into this business park. So I think there's
Yeah, my question was gonna be, where's the development community's gonna be paying for this?
That's the plan, yes. I'll talk a little bit more about that on the next slide. But so yes, right now, just to get to the first developable parcel of Harlem Road, that's about a $20 million project. So I think we talked about this a couple years ago. We had originally thought this project was gonna be roughly 7.5 million, all in with engineering fees. Well, the engineering fees alone are 1.5 million, so that doesn't leave a whole lot more out of that 7.5 million we originally talked about to get up to that first developable parcel. So we really need to work with the township, the trustees, and the folks over there to figure out how are we going to, create some type of a payback structure for this sewer.
The Columbus sewer trunk line is going to be ready?
It is, yes, that is, it's a little behind schedule, but not a whole lot, so that will be ready to be tapped in, I think, 2028, does that sound right? Yeah, 2028, mid-2028 probably at this point. So we're likely gonna be, we could be a little behind that, but realistically, we need to figure out how to pay for it first.
Is there understanding on the part of the trustees that we will need to be made whole or close to whole?
Yes, trustee Trainer has been in all of our meetings. We've been having routine bi-weekly meetings for about 4 months now, 5 months maybe. He's sat in all those along with Holly Matty from their team. So they're very tuned in to what this project is and what the needs are from a payment perspective.
One last, will we be able to do it at current tap fees, or you see us having to raise the tap fees to make sure that happens?
We need to work through that with Justin, work on a financial model for this area. I think it's a little premature until we know what we're serving, but yeah, that could be a potential payback mechanism as well.
Columbus has started their move towards the north, right, with their construction on the sewer.
Yes.
Where is that exactly?
So if you see on this map here at the corner of Smothers and
Yeah,
Harlem,
right, yeah.
where that green line comes up and it barely just crosses across Smothers and there's a little orange dot, that's
Okay.
where they're going to terminate their tunnel, and that will be the shaft that we connect into.
Okay, going south, where does it go further south? I mean, it's not on the map.
Columbus's,
Yeah.
it pretty much continues down diagonally. I'm not sure, I don't
Okay.
have the specifics of where exactly that goes
Okay.
on this presentation at least, but I could get that if you're interested.
Okay, all right, thank you.
So then the bigger picture on the left is kind of that full service area. The orange outline was the area that was identified in our 1991 agreement as a service area for Delaware County. Now, that was later, as I think you all are aware, later modified by the city of Columbus to be the blue dashed line. That is what's included in their 208 plan. And that's what we've been discussing, providing service with this project, but setting it up for the future that we could potentially serve further north, if that were something that we could come to an agreement with Columbus on.
And we believe Columbus will be agreeable to that?
We're working through that. I think it's a long-term play. I think, getting to Center Village and north, it's gonna take some time. So I think, it's something that we'll continue to have those discussions over time. But setting it up as if we were gonna serve there right now. So you can see the green lines, you can see they kind of extend up further beyond the blue dash line. Those would all be served by gravity. We can serve essentially the entire eastern half of the township, all the way up to State Route 37 by gravity. Now, it kind of falls off as you get to the western portion, north of the blue line. That would need a pump station. But everything within the blue line, and then also kind of half of the township on the east side, would all be able to be served by gravity. And then over on the right, the second figure that we have there, this is kind of that near-term project that we've been working through with our consultant. You can see down at the bottom left of the screen there, we would tie in at just north of Smothers Road. All those orange dots are tunnel shafts. We would come across, get across the roundabout and set a shaft. It's a Russ Miller property. And then we've highlighted anything that could potentially tap in right away if we did this project. So the Russ Miller property, right now, they're trying to get approximately 600 or 700 units on that property. They've been through sketch plan with that already. It's a mixed-use development, is what they're working towards with their zoning. And then we're working with the county engineer's office on coming up Harlem Township in the right-of-way. For the most part, we'll need a couple easements, but really only at the shaft sites. They're already acquiring right-of-way to widen the road there, as well as do a roundabout project. So that's been really helpful to us, to be able to kind of locate this thing within the right-of-way for the most part. And then we come up to, you can see the furthest orange dot, that's on the Jaeger property. That would be able to tap in right away, as well as on the west side of Harlem Road, that's I think it's Red Bank LLC is the name of the developer there. So all three of them, have been great to work with so far, interested in developing and interested in sewer.
So when you say the orange is actually kind of like the gold, I guess. Is that what where's the Russ Miller property?
It's the bottom right of the figure on the right. See, I just need a pointer. This mouse doesn't work, does it, Jennifer? For me to be able to.
You can try. Sometimes Soil and Water uses it for.
I got it on, but it's not doing anything.
Oh, then no.
So the bottom right of the right figure, the green
Okay.
parcel, that's the Russ Miller property where he's looking at putting about 600 to 700 units. He's working with a developer out of Texas on that property, looking at doing
okay.
it's mixed use, condos, apartments, senior living, a lot of different things that they're looking to try to put on that property.
Okay.
And then up to the north, then the one on the west side of Harlem Road, that's Red Bank LLC. I think they're trying to do something a little higher density, but I think they're still working through that with the zoning. I'm not sure where that stands. And then on the east side of Harlem Road, that's the Ed Yeager parcel. I don't think they have any real plans for what they're going to do yet, but they have been agreeable to discussions about the sewer.
And where's the mobile home park
It's just to the east of the Russ Miller property. And it actually, their package plan actually kind of sits in the middle of the Russ Miller property. It's like there's a little piece carved out. If I could zoom over to the east a little bit, their package plan is like right in the middle of that
is there any
property.
opportunities there or not?
Potentially, yes. Yeah, I think that's a bigger discussion that I need to have with you all on tap fees.
Yeah.
Currently, the tap fees are the same as for a single family home, so $8,100 per unit. I did have a discussion with the new owners of the mobile home park, and they had budgeted significantly less than the number that I explained we currently were at, like 10 times less. So I think we would need to work through that as a
Or
as a
they
group.
need to work through that, or both?
It's up to you.
So it looks like Royal American's okay for now, the golf course.
Yeah, they really want to tap in. They've met with me 3 times to try to figure out how to get sewer up there. It's just so far away. I think they plan on trying to wait for that green line that extends up on the west side, trying to wait for that and then build a pump station and force main to connect
Well,
in.
that'd be expensive at the Royal American because there's not much density there. If you're talking about the golf
Yeah.
course?
Yeah, they said they're replacing the roofs this year because of this sewer issue. So I like that course, so I was happy
Yeah,
about that.
yeah, I was hoping it'd be around for a few more years.
Right. Okay, any questions about anything else on this slide?
No, I've got specific questions, but I'll talk to you later.
Okay. All right, and then my last slide here is just wrapping up the O&M and capital projects. Just a couple others that are a little bit more notable are the Trotter's Gate pump station improvements. This is a construction cost, basically just dropping in some new pumps to increase the capacity and allow us to decommission a pump station that's nearby. I think you saw this one on session recently. It's just that it'll be paid for next year. And then the collection system rehab projects, this is $4 million of kind of projects all over the place. Just as our system is aging, we are in need of some of the older areas, needing to do some rehab on those areas with sewer lining and some point repairs and things like that. So it's kind of I just kind of rolled them all into one number there with $4 million, but it will be a variety of different projects through the year.
Sorry.
Is there an echo in here? Then Lower Scioto Roof and Building Envelope Project, Eric just told me we're gonna have that complete already in 2025, so we can scratch that one out of 2026. And then capital projects, we have the OSU Sawmill Extension Design. This project is something where, the OSU complex that's at Sawmill and Home Road, currently there's an 8-inch sewer that's serving that parcel. So we have an agreement between us, Ohio State, and City of Powell. It's about roughly a third split to build the new 12-inch that will eventually be needed for their second phase. So we budgeted for the design. I'm not sure we're really gonna need to do it in 2026, but in case if they are ready to get closer to proceeding with phase 2, we would have that money ready to go. And then Berkshire Township Pump Station design, this project has been carrying over for about 6 years now. We're just waiting for something to come in, which I think now that things are progressing with the interchange there, this could become a reality here in the near future. All right, with that, I'm gonna turn it over to Eric.
Can I ask a question before, maybe
Yeah.
Eric can answer, but
Go ahead.
where are we at on capacity with our major plants? Where would you rank us? How much capacity we have to work with the various plants?
I'm gonna leave that one to Jason.
Yeah, so the Allen Creek plant designed for 10 million. Right now, we're averaging under 6.
So that's 60%.
Yep,
See how good my math is?
yep, that's good.
Now, but that brings the Allen Creek plant, once we open up the northern plant up to Allen Creek, that some flow will go away from, so that capacity will change at that point.
Right, we'll have,
So
the
pick
East
up
Allen Creek
capacity.
pump station will redirect to go to Central Allen, station we have online right now, we call it the Pines. It will redirect and go north to the Berlin Business Park pump station, which is sitting idle at the moment. So all those will be redirected to Central Allen Creek.
Yeah, I think the startup flow we're anticipating at the plant is roughly 1 MGD. So a lot of that would be taken from Allen Creek plant, yes. But obviously, a lot of it's still also factored into the near-term development with the new plant as well.
So
So
we'll,
you're gonna see some reduction, but it won't be huge.
but we'll have plenty of room for expansion in that area. And the other two plants, other two major plants?
Yeah, so the Olentangy plant designed 6 million. We're seeing about 4 million right now.
That's
So-
66 2/3, go ahead.
And Lower Scioto, we're about to redirect the Scioto Reserve wastewater plant. We're seeing about 150,000 gallons a day at Lower Scioto. We're gonna add an additional 250, and that plant's rated for 1.4. So,
Okay, so we're about 35%?
yep. So a lot of room for,
So we have room for growth.
absolutely.
Thank you, Tiffany.
So I'm going to start off talking about OECC a little bit. I'm going to turn it over to Jason to take you guys through the plant, a couple plans and projects we've been doing and we've got planned for next year. So this is the big build at OECC, the progressive design build we've been doing. Started preliminary engineering in 2020 and we're just wrapping up construction now. We're about 95% complete. There's several punch-out items we'll probably finish up in the next month or two, and then in the spring, we're gonna come back through. This picture was taken last week, thanks to Luke Sharp at the engineer's office. They brought their drone out for us, and I'll pull up a video here in a minute, but they're gonna do some finished landscaping and also finish the pavement, one topping coat on all the pavement. They did a lot of connections there with asphalt, so it'll be one smooth coat. This is the project, again, we were lucky enough to get a $5 million grant to start things off, so that helped reduce our overall costs in this thing. And I'll have probably early December a change order for this project in. We've been working to finish this quickly with the contractor, so they were interested in just keeping a running total of several change orders along the way. You know, it's a giant retrofit. The clear area in the middle, and Jason will point it out too, but I wonder if this will go over. Nope. Okay, we don't have a pointer. But in the middle of that, the former clarifiers were there. We've built new buildings and all kinds of things, so when you do that and open it up, it made sense to do work with this project while the contractor was mowed to reduce cost. Plus, once they're done and cover everything up, we don't have to open up again for several years, hopefully. And you can't see it in this picture. Hopefully you can see it in some of the drone footage, but we did quite a bit of landscaping here in the lower part of the picture to the front of the plant for our customers and neighbors traveling on 315.
Oh, yeah.
So there was quite a significant amount of work that came through there. And then I'm going to switch over to the drone if I can figure this out real quick.
So, yeah, before you go on, Eric, so, yeah, by next, probably spring, this plant will have, all the new seating will be down, all the paving, it's gonna look really nice if anyone wants to set up any plant tours or anything like that.
Sure,
It's
okay.
Yeah, that'd be a good
Yeah.
time to
quite an
visit.
improvement from.
It looks nice already from
Yeah,
what
I
you're
mean, just
showing.
pictures alone, it's night and day from where we were a couple years ago.
Yep.
Mhm.
Okay, so I'll kind of just talk through some of the ways we were able to reduce costs and save some money, and how we're looking to be more efficient at this plant due to this project. So I'll start at the beginning. We'll go through the wet flow. But our influent pumping station, we were able to reuse the underground structure with a huge savings cost for, you know, excavation, concrete. We were able to connect what was the dry side where our pumping equipment used to be, connected that to what the wet side was. Now we have submerged pumps in there with much more capacity. We have new technology. We have a new programming, variable frequency drives, not new technology, but we've installed those with the pumps with the capability of the operations team to set speeds and levels for this equipment to come on. That way we can reduce energy cost by not running pumps full speed and turning them on and off constantly. So then we pump into a head box, which you can't see right now, it's at the bottom of the video. Pump into that with these pumps and then flow by gravity over to our screen building. Screen building's new to us. That'll screen out all debris, keeping it from getting into the treatment process, causing equipment issues, requiring, you know, hours of tank cleaning when we would take tanks out of service. So we were able to minimize that. Inside the blower building, which is dead center of the video right now, new turbo blowers. You know, it's newer technologies. We're able to turn these down to run slower. We can set dissolved oxygen set points in the system, pressures, and reduce energy costs by not running equipment full speed. Then we pass through to clarification, all new mechanical mechanisms, reusing the existing structures. Flow through there to our filter building, which is to the right, just above the pond right there. New cloth media filters, which also reduces the amount of water required for backwashing, which that water also would get recycled, you know, taking up capacity. So we're able to now reduce that. So we're not sending extra water back through the plant. Let's see what else. The redundant centrifuge, the dewatering equipment, Tiffany message. So we have one piece down for service. We've got another one there, not having to bring in rental equipment that is very costly. So that's pretty much areas we were able to save money in this project.
Very impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, with all of our projects, our capital improvement projects, we always look, how can we reduce the construction cost? What new technology can we bring in to optimize the plant and run more efficiently?
Oh, great.
All right. So here's just some pictures of this. These are both of the head of the plant, the influent pump station. That's the electrical room to the left. That head box I mentioned to the right. Pumps are in the hatches below that monorail hoist. Here's the cloth media filter disc. We were able to set those inside of the existing filter cells, so cost savings there. And again, reducing the recycle flow with, you know, heavy nutrient loadings potentially. This is our dewatering facility. This is the existing centrifuge on the left, and to the right that you can't see in the picture is where our new redundant piece of equipment sits. So now we'll talk package plant project. This project is currently going on. This involves the Lower Scioto treatment plant, taking the Scioto Reserve treatment plant offline with a new pump station redirecting flow to Lower Scioto. Then upgrades at Tartan Fields, and along with the Lower Scioto, the O'Shaughnessy pump station. We did an upgrade there to handle the additional flow that we're sending from Scioto Reserve and anticipated development. This project's 50% complete, and again, in date, Q4 of '26. So these are the two aeration tanks and clarifiers side by side. The one on the left is existing condition, in service right now. The one on the right is in construction. You can kind of see how we've divided up that outer ring into specific zones for treatment, oxic and anoxic. We have a more stringent effluent limits now because we will be discharging to the Scioto River, and then also be able to continue to send flow to the golf course irrigation pond. So those zones will provide better nutrient removal to meet those new stringent limits. And in some more technology, these blowers, not turbo blowers, but they're driven by VFD. So again, not running full speed, wasting energy, dialing these down to meet the limits that we're setting in the system. Some pictures of some variable frequency drives on the right.
This is all new then?
Yeah, this
That's
is currently
with all- yeah.
under construction.
Yeah.
This is the new Cider Reserve pump station that will redirect the flow that the treatment plant receives and send that to the O'Shaughnessy pump station and then under the river and over to the Lower Scioto treatment plant. Part of that, which, let me go back here, the Tartan Fields treatment plant is also a part of this. We're doing the exact same thing there. We're upgrading equipment, new blowers, new electrical room to get within NFPA 70E requirements, new instrumentation that will allow us to interact with the plant and, kind of optimize our treatment there. Part of all these projects, we've repurposed equipment. So the Cider Reserve treatment plant, we're taking some pumping equipment, mixing equipment, taking those to Tartan Fields to reduce cost. And then we were able to take what was the existing raw sewage pumps in the O'Shaughnessy pump station, repurpose those to the Lower Scioto treatment plant after some cleaning, and be able to send the effluent back to the irrigation. So we were able to save equipment and repurpose it. North Star, another treatment plant, we're gonna discharge to the Little Walnut Creek. So more stringent effluent limits there. So we are new blowers, again, VFD driven, energy savings, new instrumentation. So we see what's going on in the plant so we're not wasting energy. Separating zones. We're adding new disc filters just like at the Olentangy plant within existing filter cells. So minimize construction costs. New post aeration equipment that'll be installed in the existing clear well, so minimize costs there. And then also be able to send it to the Little Walnut Creek and also to the irrigation pond. So treatment plant studies, we've just kicked off our biosolids master plan. So we're looking at what we do for dewatering, hauling, what we do as a whole, how can we get better? So you can see our current cost for disposal, $600,000 to $800,000 a year. Liquid and solid transport, $100,000. Equipment repairs, that's basically vehicles, could be dewatering equipment, $50,000 to $150,000. And then downtime is where we don't have redundancy, that equipment goes down or it's just down for scheduled maintenance. We've got to bring in these expensive rental equipment. So we're going to identify where we can do better. We are currently hauling about 3 million gallons of liquid. When I say liquid, that means like 1% or less of solid. So we're hauling that internally just to get these smaller satellite plants to our dewatering facilities like Allen Creek, Olentangy, Lower Scioto. We want to reduce that, get our trucks off the road, reduce equipment repairs, and then how can we optimize chemical, reduce that cost. We spend about $325,000 a year on polymer for our dewatering efforts. We want to be able to reduce that number. So this master plan will look at what we do and guide us to how we can be more efficient. And with that, turn it over to Eric.
So water reuse has been a topic, a big topic in our industry for the last couple of years, with a lot of the data centers and tech companies interested in coming to Central Ohio. So we started a study with Delco. It was actually spearheaded by Delco, so we're doing it with them to do a planning study for areas that could possibly become water reuse corridors. And the image on the left here, the blue circles are generally these corridors within reach of our treatment plants in the area. In particular, this is kind of pointed towards Allen Creek as a good candidate for reuse water. So the process flow diagram on the right, the biggest thing here is just that red line. So we can definitely get clean water to end users, data centers, industry, things like that. By the way, we already do reuse at all of our treatment plants, North Star, Cider Reserve, Tartan Fields, that feed the ponds to irrigate the golf courses. So we've been doing this for, well, I think Gary came out to Cider Reserve and we did a little kickoff with the Ohio EPA about 1.5 years ago. As far as us, I mean, we've been doing this for like 20 or 30 years already. So different higher quality standards required for data centers and things like that. So we can definitely treat the water and get it to them. The red line is the blowdown from them, which they evaporate most of this. It comes back with essentially brine, high TDS, total dissolved solids. And we can only take so much of that. You can't really remove that from a treatment plant. It stays there and we got to watch what comes out. So as part of the study, they also looked at Elm Creek in particular. Don't worry about this graph. It's just to say if you stay on this curved line, that's basically our performance of what we can send out in reuse water, which is the water that we would potentially sell to a customer. Normally you sell in the Pacific Northwest, out west where this is a lot more prevalent. Typically you sell reuse water for about a third the cost of potable water. That's always negotiated at point of contract, or you get ahead of it instead of fee if you have a corridor. Again, this is all new to us, how to create this other little utility inside of our own. But this shows that, you know, in the near future, Allen Creek could get up to 8 million gallons a day in flow. Right now, we typically see around 6. And we could definitely provide, with some upgrades, up to 6 MGD of reuse water, and comfortably 3 at the moment. And as part of this, also, just around the same time, Hazen and Sawyer, who we work with, they have a pilot trailer that travels around the country to pilot new technology for reuse. And they offered us to host it at no charge to us, and they ran samples through the plant. This is the plant that, on top of everything else Jason does, he also manages this plant and has it running pretty well. They were surprised at the quality of the water inside the treatment plant that they were using. They went on, we had a 3-hour presentation with them. They probably talked for 20 minutes about that, which was great to hear. You know, all the hard work we've done, the projects and the folks that are there every day. But essentially the study was a success. We had a lot of visitors. The Industrial Reuse Conference was in Columbus this last year, and that was one of the places where a lot of people came and toured. So we got really good results out of this with the technology that they offered. For how well, not only for preparing this water for a reuse quality, but it also removes a lot of constituents that are emerging contaminants. So it was a really great project. We got a lot of good info and data out of this to help, you know, if we decide to move forward later down the road with Elm Creek in particular, we've got a pilot study finished, so that could really happen quickly if there's interest.
What do you see as future uses then? I mean, you just mentioned some of them in the...
Yeah, I mean, right now, in Hazen and Sawyer did a project with Ohio EPA, and one of the main uses for this reuse water that they flagged in there, as seen in other places of the country, is actually irrigation.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And we've kind of been thinking about that. Tiffany and I are also on the Water Reuse Ohio committee board. They got established about 1.5 years ago. So that, you know, out west they have droughts, they have water rights and all that, so water is a commodity. It's not quite a commodity here at the moment, but if you can use, especially the last couple of years of the droughts we've had, if there was a utility or a corridor of the purple pipe is what it's called with reuse water, and it actually has to be purple.
Oh,
So
really?
that's a term. One of the ones we're learning right now. So if you have something like that available to commercial farms, and even if that kind of thing, but also data centers and are large users for cooling, they use quite a bit seasonally. So in the summer, they might need 3 million gallons a day. In the winter, they need nothing. So that presents a challenge to be able to push that flow in the first place and then also stop it when requested. So there's a lot to figure out, but there's a lot of other places in the country, Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, California, you know, Pacific Northwest, that do this. So those are the main users we've heard about. Or an industrial user. Historically, and everything I've heard, it's normally for cooling water, that they're going to need a large quantity of this type of water. That doesn't have to be drinkable, but it needs to be clean.
Sure. That's what I kind of wondered too.
Yep.
Haven't gotten there yet. We're moving.
We are, yeah, I think it's a
Yeah.
little bit of a few years out probably,
Uh-huh.
but, you know. it all
That's
depends
really
on the interest.
fascinating, though, that you're able to do this so far.
Yeah, no,
And
we're,
the
I feel like,
success.
and we work with, through the Water Reuse Ohio, we work with other utilities around the state, and there's other folks that have land permits like we do at the golf courses and things like that, but we just seem to be
Mhm.
really primed, and it's like, you know, we're prepared for the opportunity that's coming, because we've just done all these upgrades to the plants. And Allen Creek in particular, shutting down the filters, this happened a few years ago, we didn't need them for treatment. That presents the perfect footprint to just put equipment in. So if we do a project like this, it could happen fast. We probably do not need to build a building. We can just reuse that one.
Oh, that's great.
So yeah, we're primed if an opportunity does come. So
Oh.
we just want to talk about a little bit what we've been
Yeah.
doing and let you know stuff coming down the road.
Oh, thank you.
And I'll try and finish the transfer station quickly. You guys obviously ask any questions you want. So our current fund balance is at $3.35 million. It's growing. We typically don't take more than $300,000 out in any given year for expenses. Our projected revenue in 2025 is at $467,000. Before the new transfer station, transfer and recycling station was built, we were our revenue would range between $200,000 and $300,000 dollars a year, and we're projecting a very similar revenue for next year. There's a good chance it will be more than that. We just don't know how much more they can figure out how to get in the existing building. And our budget expenditures are the typical salaries, consultant and contractor fees as needed. If we need to do any improvements to the old transfer station in particular, we've got a project going on this week, for instance, to extend the life, you know,
Oh, good.
as much as we need to keep it usable.
Sure.
And then, this is a graph, basically over time, the blue square points to the date where the new TRC was built, and you can see our tonnages have just increased since then. And then this last square on the right, on the top, are this year's flows. So we're looking at the end of last year, we brought in 104,000 tons, and we're projecting 140,000 tons coming in this year. It's around a 35%
Yeah.
increase year to date. City of Delaware uses this for their city municipal waste as well as recycling. They bring in,
Okay.
2,800 tons a year. And we're gonna start discussions, as we mentioned to you all with Rumpke, about possibly expanding the footprint of the existing transfer station. Don't know how or how fast or what that's gonna look like, but it certainly seems like a need, it's pretty incredible that this happened so
Yes.
quickly. Last thing I'll say on this topic, DKMM also uses the old transfer station for their twice-a-month collections during the warmer months of the year. And this year, they collected 3,000 pounds more than they did in 2025. They had 391 participants, and they are going to return to the transfer station for 2026.
Oh, good, good.
Yeah, DKMM is very happy with the transfer station and the electronics program.
Good, yeah, no, they seem to be bringing in a lot of stuff, and, yep.
Yeah, so are a lot of residents, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Great job.
That's the last
Questions?
slide we had.
Question?
No, not really.
Boy.
Hey, guys.
That's my question.
Yeah,
Yeah.
boy,
You always do a
boy.
great
This
job
is
presenting.
great. You really are. Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
Excellent,
Yep,
excellent.
The comments and the feedback,
Oh, gee.
yeah.
obviously we'll keep them coming.
Keep it going. Doing great stuff.
Yes,
Thanks,
absolutely.
Gina. You probably did most of
Yes,
this.
thank you, Gina,
You
too.
were, you were too talkative, but other than that.
She did like 90% of the work to get us here
Oh,
today,
so-
so actually it's a big break.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much. Great job.
Oh, yeah, thanks. I don't see a way to eject it, should I just?
I think you just,
there you go.
you just literally had it still in there, so if you want to keep it there, you can. Thank you.
Oh, I guess we have it right here. Well, welcome, and thank you for lunch.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Hello again.
Hello again. Excellent, good attendance at
Yeah.
It was a good,
today's
it was a
meeting.
good crowd.
Yes.
I assume every township was represented.
There were two that weren't.
Really?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It was a big crowd.
Who were the two?
Um,
I didn't see Liberty there, were they there?
That's what I didn't, on our list of registrants, they weren't there. And I'm drawing a blank on the other one, I'm sorry. I don't want to call them out publicly.
Yeah, I don't have a
Okay.
problem with that.
Yeah, but again, good participation.
Yes.
You guys got a lot of good programs and partnerships and
Yeah.
you provide a lot of support and funding. I mean, you just have a good relationship with the township, so that's
It
good that
is.
you do that.
Yeah. And it's important, you know.
Oh, very
When it comes to roads, people don't necessarily understand what's a county road, what's a
Distinction,
township
right.
road, any of that, so
Yeah,
it's,
we know that from Curve Road, just the other
that's
day.
right, which, opened today. So by the way, you ought to drive through there on the
And I
way.
Oh,
appreciate the
really?
fact you're putting the stop signs there,
Yeah.
that's a good short-term solution. May save a life.
Right. Are you ready for us to roll?
We are ready.
So,
So,
Please begin. And,
So,
well, I will just say this is our engineer's presentation.
thank you.
Welcome, Engineer Bowser.
Thank you very much. And I'm joined today by Chief Deputy Rob Riley, and in the gallery is Mike Love, our Chief Deputy of Operations. And so
Okay.
both of, between those two,
oh, there he is.
they handle really the management of the day-to-day activities of our office and do an excellent job. Very blessed to be able to have a team working for Delaware County like we do. So
Absolutely.
also want to thank you for your willingness and commitment to transportation funding in our county, and you've shown a real understanding of how important that is to our constituents, and appreciate that ongoing support. So today I'm going to talk just about where our revenues come from, in general where our expenditures are planned for in 2026. Rob's going to talk about some specific projects that we have planned coming up, and then I'll close with just a kind of an assessment or an update on where things stand in a larger view. So
Okay.
with that, there's I believe I can advance these, can I? Yeah, so this revenue pie chart that you have and is on the screen shows the sources of revenue that we live with at the engineer's office. Of interest is that the gray and the yellow wedge on those on that exhibit, the gray would be the state fuel tax, the gasoline tax, that we receive a percentage of that. Each county in the state receives the same amount of money from the state fuel tax. So I think it's not news to you, but for those who might be hearing for the first time, it doesn't matter whether you purchase your fuel in Delaware County or any other county in the state of Ohio. That's all collected from the county standpoint. Every county gets 1/88 of that pot of money. The yellow wedge is from the license tax. So basically your motor vehicle registration fee, when you renew your license every year, a portion of that money comes back to the county. And we have in place in Delaware County 3 $5 increments above what the state minimum is for that, and that each of those $5 comes to the county.
Are we the max on that, or is there room for growth?
There's one more $5 increment available, but the division of that $5 between the municipalities and the county, and I believe the townships, really probably doesn't make it a viable one for us to pursue. It's by the time you get to the amount of money that's for the county, it's fairly incidental compared to what the other 3 $5 increments generate. So, but we are in a good position in Delaware County in that as growth occurs and more people move in, the more registered vehicles follow, and so a lot of the counties in the state the engineers' offices live entirely off of the motor vehicle tax, the fuel tax, and the license registration fees. And if you're in a county that's not growing, there's really no growth component to any of that. And so with construction inflation, you see the buying power of those two sources declining each year. So we are very fortunate to have at least one of those segments in an increasing trend due to population, and we're very fortunate to have the sales tax money available to dedicate toward capital projects. And you can see that that's over 60% of our total budget is in capital projects. So that from the sales tax. So I kind of jumped ahead there to expenditures in talking about capital projects. But before I leave that slide, we have a state grant piece that is significant, but that one varies. The state and federal grant portion varies from year to year, and so for instance, we don't have a new federal grant in 2026, but we do have in the state side the Silicon Heartland grant money that comes from the improvements to County Line Road and the intersections there that come through our budget. And so that one actually is bigger than normal. Our OPWC projects and that Silicon Heartland project make that one 12%, which it normally is not that high. On the next slide, I'll talk about the expenses for 2026. And we are at 19% on salaries and fringe benefits in terms of our total expenditures. That would be the light blue and orange wedges. Our road maintenance materials, which include asphalt, stone, salt, all of the kind of the materials that go into providing the work that we do to maintain our roads, is in that category. The services and charges are road maintenance services, so our annual county maintenance and paving program that we do, you may have heard us talk about that with the townships today, where we collectively pool our buying power to get better prices. But that, for instance, that countywide paving program is paid for through the services and charges category, but those aren't capitalized expenses, so we separate those from the darker blues large wedge of the pie. In this case, 43% of that budget is for straight capital improvement projects. So, are there any questions about either of those two? All right.
Questions? Yes, not.
As we move forward, just I mentioned the gas tax and the motor vehicle registration. Those are we have a motor and gas fund that is funded primarily from those sources. And then obviously the sales tax portion of that is a general fund expenditure. And so thought it might be, I think I've talked to you in the past about the balance in our operation and maintenance fund, which is motor and gas, how that has been declining. That has stabilized over the last couple of years now that we're down to maintaining that. We're not spending capital resources out of that fund now. It's mainly the operations side of things. And so we're projecting still a declining balance there through 2030, but certainly not anything near as steep of a line as we were seeing through 2016 to 22. This is probably a good place to also point out with our with the, say again, that the gas tax being not indexed to inflation, it's simply cents per gallon. So as construction costs increase and that gas tax revenue is based entirely upon consumption and not on the price of fuel, isn't indexed against inflation. And so we see our buying power basically declining over that time. And so in response to that, we have a choice to make between spending more than we're taking in at those times and drawing our balance down further, or doing less. And in a county that's growing like ours, doing less is not a very good answer. And so that's why we see that balance declining. And
Didn't the state change how they calculate for EV vehicles?
how they count
Did they lower the,
EV vehicles?
Yeah.
Yeah, they actually lowered the
which makes
amount.
absolutely 0 cents?
Yes, it's
So-
They
totally
use the same road.
counterintuitive to what what it's supposed to be. And I think it's simply it's a political reaction to wanting to green energy and green technology, and wanting to encourage that I don't think anybody I don't think any people were making a decision not to purchase electric vehicles because of the registration fee.
It wasn't that high anyway. I don't believe it was that high anyway.
It was $200,
Which is
went down, and they're not paying,
insignificant.
and they're not paying for gasoline tax. So it's we're still subsidizing their use even at the old rate, and then we lowered the rate. So, but
Is your association doing anything, maybe get that relooked at? or-
every chance we get, that's on our legislative agenda to try to bring fairness to how all those vehicles are registered and the cost. It's also a national issue, and it is a difficult issue that really, it's hard for one state to move away from a gas tax model to a vehicle miles traveled model when, if not every state's doing that, it doesn't.
Well, I
it
don't
doesn't-
know,
there's
I don't
no-
know that I like the idea of
Yeah.
by mile, because that means
Yeah.
big brother, but
Yeah.
there's certainly no reason you can't raise the fixed rate or put it
Yeah.
back where it was.
Yeah. And there are, I've had this conversation, there are ways to deal with the vehicle miles traveled thing without there being a big brother component to that. It's simply reporting your odometer reading, and being taxed according to the miles that you traveled. But there's no reason for government to try to know where you were driving. But the reality is, we all carry a cell phone around that if anybody really wanted to know, they could tell where we were driving, so where we're going. So, but that's another conversation. But I understand the sensitivity around that, Gary. So I thought you also would look at just our employment levels. We've kind of been up to as many as 78 employees, down to as low as 69 employees, and we're targeting to stay around 71 or 70 employees. We're in the process of hiring 3 new highway workers now to fill vacant positions, and that has continued to be a challenge. I'm sure my highway worker sob story of attracting and retaining folks there has played out 100 different times of different job descriptions that you hear about from the county standpoint. But we're one of the organizations that we have a hard time attracting and retaining people in our highway maintenance operations, where we didn't used to have that problem. In the last year, we've had our employees go to work for townships. We had an employee leave to go work for ODOT, and so we're fighting that battle. So, just so you know. I did want to point out that we do a lot of projects, and there are 2 ways those projects happen. One by contract, and one by force account. And the force account projects don't get near as much attention, but they're just as important. And the force account projects are the projects that we're able to do with our own forces. We have a really talented group of employees and our bridge crew builds projects that rival anything that's built by private sector contract that we, and I think in a lot of ways are even better. I'll toot the horn of a couple of our highway workers, Dan Wright and Ricky Punches went to there's an equipment rodeo at Franklin County, and they compete in different skills. And both those guys, one was a backhoe operator, one was a skid loader operator. They won among all the agencies and so
right.
they take a lot of pride in that. But that pride shows in the kind of projects that they're doing with our own forces. And so we're getting a lot of quality work out of our own people, and they don't get a lot of credit for that or a lot of fanfare. Those projects don't attract media attention like an interchange groundbreaking project, but they're just as important. So wanted to highlight their contribution at this point. So with that, if you don't have any other questions for me at this point, I'll turn it over to Rob, who's going to talk about projects that we have upcoming in the next year and beyond.
Thank you.
All right, Chris, thank you. Commissioners, appreciate the chance to talk with you today. I think you've probably heard me say this or something like this in the past. We're in a pretty neat location for us as engineers. Chris and I have this conversation time to time. To be able to participate and work on some of the projects that we get to work on is a pretty neat thing. And I would say pretty unique across Ohio. There aren't too many counties that get to talk about interchange projects like I'm about here to do here in a second, and railroad overpasses and some of the major projects that we get to do. It makes the job very fulfilling. Does come with its share of headaches trying to manage all this, but being able to see the result of all this work is pretty neat. Wanted to talk just very briefly about the Sunbury Interchange. I'm sure you've driven past there recently on I-71. That work is underway. That is being managed by ODOT at this point. So we don't really have an active role in Phase A, which is the actual interchange bridge and the portion of the road that will go over to Wilson Road. That is being done by Miller Brothers Construction. That is scheduled to be done by October of 2027. I think they're actually ahead of schedule at this point, and so still to be determined whether they actually can finish and open it to traffic sooner, but they're making good progress. And then, as you know, Phase B and C going to the west, that's the red and gold colors. Those are under design currently through the TID. The TID holds a contract for final design. Phase B is probably 2/3 of the way designed, and then we'll have final plans, I would say sometime early next year. We'll be working with ODOT to buy the needed right-of-way. ODOT will actually make the land purchases, but we'll be assisting as needed. Phase C will take a little bit longer to get the final plans for that, just because it's a more complex design, tying back into Route 36 up in kind of the top left corner. That will take quite a bit of work to figure out how to maintain traffic and get that tied in. We have a major purchase. I say we collectively, meaning the county and or ODOT with the RV dealership. The good news is through the ravines at Meadow Ridge, that is the apartment complex, that right-of-way is being dedicated. You'll recall there was an agreement with the developer. That right-of-way, fortunately, will be dedicated at no additional cost, so I think that's a very good thing that we were able to procure with that development. So that is all moving ahead. Phase B, we are hoping to see under construction in 2027. That will take about one construction season to finish. It would be ideal if we can finish that up roughly at the time that Phase A is finishing in October 2027. I don't know if we'll be able to do that, but hopefully we can follow very closely behind, if not at the same time. Phase C is lagging about 2 years. Probably won't see that breaking ground until 2029. Phase D and on to the east, we are having some conversations with ODOT, to some degree with Sunbury. I would just say that I think our role as a county may be a little bit more limited unless we, I guess, hear from your board that we need to take a more active role. I do think there are potential revenue sources in Sunbury that can help pay for that. That will be a much more, I would say, development-focused section of roadway. Has certainly the potential to create a lot of development within the city limits. Most of that land is annexed as you go east of Wilson Road. And so more to come on that, but you know, to date our focus is on A, B, and C, getting that connection to the west, which will, I think, yield tremendous benefit for all of us. Africa and Cheshire Road, I noticed I have a typo on here. That's actually summer 2026 construction. We had actually hoped to be building that this past summer. We've been working with the Corps of Engineers to get permission to, we need a little bit of right-of-way on the southwest corner and the northeast corner. And so we're working with the Corps to try to get that permit and the right-of-way to do that. Still plugging away on that, but we are hoping to actually break ground on that in the summer. That'll take about 2 months to build that. Unfortunately, we do need to close the intersection, which I know is a major kind of cross-county and north-south route, so that'll create some headaches, but I hope to get it
Darn if you don't, if you do it during the school year, or stay away from school year,
Exactly.
summer, but summer is a big time for the lake, so it's.
Exactly. Tentatively, we are looking to start after the 4th of July. That is, of course, subject to, we have utilities to move, we have, again, the core permit to get, so. Section line at Hyatt's Road, this is a single lane roundabout. We have purchased the needed right-of-way for this, and so we are on track to build this in the summer. This will be about a 2-month closure and roughly a $2 million estimated construction cost. Big Walnut Tussock, same thing, planning on summer 2026 construction. There is quite a bit of utility work happening right now in preparation for that. Roundabouts, gas lines, electric lines are being moved right now, and should be on track to start that project when school gets out in probably late May or early June. Again, depends on how quickly all the utilities are done. South Old State Road and Hollenbach Road. This will be, includes a couple different things. First off, the intersection at Hollenbach Road, if you're unfortunate enough to have to drive through there at rush hour in the afternoon, you will commonly see northbound backed up for a quarter mile or more, just because that is a 4-way stop. That is sort of the bottleneck in that area, and so we are proposing, we will be building a traffic signal with turn lanes that should open up that bottleneck. And then we'll also be widening Old State Road South to Avonlea as a 3-lane section. So that'll provide that center turn lane, which would provide some benefit for safety for the folks that are turning in and out of neighborhoods. Rockford Homes is currently building on the west side, that dark green patch of field. They're progressing from west to east, so they'll be heading towards this intersection over the next few years with their development. That's about 330, 350 single-family homes as part of Evans Farm. So that'll be about a $4 million project. We may be in a position to start construction late 2026. More than likely, we'll award a contract. The work won't actually happen until 2027. Bixby Parkway Phase 1B. This is, I know you're familiar with this. This is an ongoing discussion we've had with the City of Delaware. We would be in a position, if we have an agreement with the city, to start construction probably 3rd or 4th quarter of 2026. That is, of course, pending right-of-way dedication or purchase by the city through the Nutter Farm property. And then we have at least one more property that the county would need to purchase outside the city limits. That would take about 15 months start to finish, and that's largely because of the work on Route 36. We have to do some work and close part of the median. We have to add at least one traffic signal pole, do some work with the turn lanes on Route 36. That will take the majority of the time. It's not the majority of the effort, but it's, again, 15 months probably start to finish. Berlin Station Road, this is near Berlin High School. We previously built what we call Phase 2A, which was the peanut-shaped roundabout you can see there on the map, and including some of the widening going west along the school frontage. That was done several years ago. We are coming back to kind of fill in the rest of that, starting at the railroad track. That's the CSX Railroad at the far left side of the graphic, and then carry that widening all the way east to South Old State. The curves at Dale Ford Road, that dog leg, we would be softening those curves to make them safer, get a better curvature through that area, hopefully prevent some of the crashes, unfortunately, we've seen in that area. So that is on track for construction in 2027. We will spend probably the next 8 to 12 months buying the needed right-of-way for that project. So
Is the developers in that area contributing to that project?
yes, so the on the northwest corner of that map, you can see that is the Berlin Farm West development. As part of that, so they do have one access point that they have furnished, basically a contribution in lieu of building their turn lane. We'll simply roll their turn lane into the widening for that section.
And on the east side, is there development support there as well?
On the east side, there's really no pending developments. Most of that land is already built out with single-family homes that front along the road, so unfortunately no real opportunity to leverage development there. Very close by, if you scroll that map up, you would see this. This is the Rollison-Pyatt Road Extension Phase C is what we're calling it. This is very much a development-funded project. The Berlin Farm West that I mentioned includes 434 lots. MI Homes agreed to a special assessment on those new lots, which we are currently collecting. They've agreed to that over a period of 20 years. That will generate about $2.5 million over the life of that assessment, and that'll cover roughly 2/3 of the cost of this new road, which is relatively in proportion to the amount of trips that their development will put onto this new road. So I think that was a pretty good deal. They were able to, MI Homes actually built the road up through their development, and so we're basically taking it the rest of the way up to Curve Road at Rollison Road. So planning on 2029 construction for this. We'll spend the next several years working through design and property purchase. Monkey Hollow Road over Big Walnut Creek, you're familiar with this project. We are proposing to realign the curve, build a new bridge. Bridge is not in very good shape. It is safe, but it has reached the end of its useful life. Our concern with trying to rehabilitate this bridge is the curves on either end of the bridge. We would never propose to build a new bridge on this alignment. Those are 15-mile-an-hour curves on either end of the bridge. Just not safe or appropriate for an area that we know at some point will grow. The traffic on Monkey Hollow will increase. And so we are proposing a complete replacement with a realignment for this. We are looking at 2027 construction for this. The home road extension to Lewis Center Road, this includes the overpass over the railroads. We continue to work with the railroads. We have what we need right for the moment to get the plans done, which will happen over this winter. Through the spring, we will then submit those final plans to the railroad and seek their agreement to allow us to build the new bridge over their railroads. We are forecasting this will be about an $18 million project at this point. As you know, there is a TIF on Slate Ridge, the development on the west side of the railroad. We do anticipate wanting to initiate discussion with you, with Justin, with Tracy about potentially issuing Slate Ridge TIF revenue bonds, potentially late next year, more than likely 2027. to help fund this project. But fortunately, we have a nice revenue source with that TIF that will cover, I think can cover the entire cost of the project if we look out over a period of.
Entire cost going up to Lewis Center?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Still on Home Road, but going west, so from Liberty Road on the left-hand side to Route 315. This is kind of the last segment of Home Road that has not been upgraded. This goes past the Old Tangy Caverns. We've saved, I think, the hardest for the last, for the end here. This will not be an easy section to improve. Just with the topography, with the number of residences, this will be a very difficult project. And so we will be wrapping up the design. What we are proposing is a 3-lane section that will look very similar to what's to the west, what's to the east, and improving the curve that kind of works its way around the creek Wildcat Run, and then replacing a structure that's about 25 years old, a bridge 25 to 30 years old. So this will be a nice safety upgrade. It will not be easy. We'll have a lot of properties we'll need to talk to you about that we will need strips of right-of-way from. So you'll be hearing more from us over the next couple of years about this. South Old State Road Phase 2. This goes from Orange Road at the bottom of that graphic up to Lewis Center Road. There's all these signals actually exist. We will need to replace 3 of those. The 3 middle ones, those were temporary signals that we installed years ago, knowing that this project would come eventually. But this would widen the section of road to 5 lanes. It would look basically just like what's south of Orange Road, 2 lanes each direction plus a center turn lane. This again will be about an $18+ million project. This would be eligible for funding assistance through a couple of the TIFs in the area, both Evans Farm and potentially Slate Ridge as well, if there's excess TIF revenue there. But we'll work through that, certainly with Tracy, with Justin, to see if it makes sense to potentially bond extra with Slate Ridge and or Evans Farm. So more to come on that. We'll be starting to buy the right-of-way next year. Again, we'll be talking to you a lot over the next 2 years, talking about right-of-way purchase, but this will be another big project. The section to the south was incredibly difficult, just from a technical standpoint, trying to maintain traffic. This will also be difficult. Orange Road grade separation, you'll recall we are getting a fair bit, actually a good bit of funding assistance for this project. We have 3 grants that have been approved for this project, totaling about $34 million out of the $42 million plus projected construction cost. So we will be capped out at 80%. So even if we could go after additional grant funding, more than likely we'll hit our max anyway. We have to provide at least 20% local share for all these federal aid grant programs. So at this point, I think we've got all the grant funding that we need and can really use.
And we have TIF dollars for that project?
There is a TIF. There's potentially a couple of TIFs that could contribute to this, to the local share. There is a TIF on the Orange Road, several of the commercial developments that have happened over the last few years. It's a relatively small amount. But again, we have some work to do yet with the railroads. This would not happen before 2028. So continue to work with getting the final plans and getting those to the railroads for their review and approval. And I'll finish up. We have a lot more projects than what I just showed you, but in the interest of time, kind of had to draw the line somewhere. We have at least 24 intersections we'd like to upgrade in the next 5 years. All but 2 of these will be roundabouts, and I believe all those will be single lane roundabouts. You've probably heard us talk, and I've been accused of being a roundabout fanatic, but what can you say? They're just proven to be safer. They work so well in so many different locations, and that's why we're using them. They're safer. The track record is really beyond dispute that the data tells the story. So lots and lots of roundabouts. These are what I would characterize as kind of our bread and butter project over the next 5 years. We will do a lot of these. We are pretty good and efficient at delivering these. We've done a lot. We have more to do. So happy to answer any questions about specific locations, but as of today, this is when we think each of those intersections will be built.
Any questions?
Yeah, I gotta ask about the Big Walnut interchange.
I was gonna
Yes.
say the very thing myself.
Well, I'll do my best to give you the short version. We are currently, we have done a number of analyses on the Big Walnut interchange. We've done several rounds of traffic projections. We are currently working on another round of analysis that included a brand new traffic count that ODOT, I will say asked nicely, that we use newer traffic counts, including this kind of back to the office traffic volumes. We had previously counted traffic in and around the interchange area in 2023. I think ODOT was interested in seeing what's it now after people are going back to the office. So we have a consultant under contract doing that analysis. That work is being paid for by ODOT through a 20-year-old federal earmark. So we're not incurring any local expenses for that. The long and short is there is a lot of regional traffic that will want to use that interchange. That's what all the traffic projections to date have shown. That's good and bad. On the surface, it sounds like, yeah, you ought to put an interchange there if there's so many people that want to use it. The bad news is when so many people want to use a new interchange, it does add traffic on I-71, and that's the rub. That's where it makes it difficult to get both the state and federal approval, because Federal Highway Administration will ultimately make the call on whether this interchange gets approved, and they'll make that call in Washington. FHWA probably doesn't care about making it easier for our residents to get from Big Walnut to, say, I-270 or to Columbus. They care how can traffic get from Cleveland to Cincinnati. That's what the interstate system, at least in Federal Highway's mind, is designed for interstate traffic, not for our residents to go 2 miles to make their trip easier. So that's the battle we're going to face. To date, what we're doing right now is strictly limited to a traffic study only. It does not include environmental analyses, noise analyses, all the things we would have to do if we get past this kind of first checkpoint, so to speak, of whether can we actually show that we can make this work from a traffic standpoint. Long answer to your question, Commissioner, but we will be scoping our consultant to revise that analysis based on these newer traffic counts. That'll start in January, probably go through the spring, and at that point we'll be talking to ODOT about, is this thing actually feasible? I will add that some of the recent analysis we did within the last year or so does show a pretty dramatic regional benefit to this interchange. And what I mean by that is Middle Ohio Regional Planning Commission maintains this regional traffic model that goes beyond Franklin County, includes Delaware, includes the overall region. And when you plug this new interchange in, what it does is it actually shortens, reduces the number of vehicle miles traveled. So people end up driving less miles to get where they're going because of this interchange. It also reduces overall delay. It may increase delay locally at one location, but from a network perspective, it has a huge reduction to overall network delay. So regionally, there's a pretty clear, provable benefit to the system.
Well, you know, traffic lines up in Polaris in the evenings to get home, the exit there. So in theory, some of that traffic would migrate up to the Big Walnut interchange if in fact it was there.
Sure.
And I think we already see the phenomenon of folks that are coming from Columbus going all the way up to Route 36 and then kind of backtracking to the south to get where they're going, because Polaris, you know, that can be a slog to get through there. So So I'll kind of finish up by saying we do have a 5-year plan, which I gave you a printed copy of that before we started. We have identified 80 projects that we will be developing. Not all of those will be built, but they'll be in some form of development, whether it's design, land acquisition, or construction through the next 5 years, totaling about $192 million worth of county funds, and that would include TIF revenues, special assessment revenues, and then we would use that money to leverage $128 million plus of state, federal, and other local funds. Those local funds might be township funds for our road improvement program. They may be contributions for some of our different size projects. As Chris alluded to when he was talking about staff, we've kind of been maintaining that overall staff size around 70 total employees. I would say to some level we are limited on how big of a program we can have just based on the number of project engineers and technical folks that we have available to actually design and manage these projects. So that is a challenge for us, but it is our challenge. I mean, we are committed to delivering these projects, and we'll figure out a way to do it. So just talking kind of at high level, what that 5-year plan looks like. The bulk, this is in terms of number of contracts, about 36% of those projects will be intersections. That's the light blue in the north or kind of upper right corner. Minor road widening, that's where say we're adding a center turn lane, or maybe we're just widening out the shoulders, widening the pavement. That'll be another 19%. Medium large bridges 11%. And then you can go on and see what other types of projects we'll be doing.
Well, if I do your math here, 26 to 30 county portion, I'm gonna round up to 200 million. That's 40 million a year for these projects.
Yes.
I think we don't quite have that.
So again, that would include TIF revenues, and our projection.
Does that include TIF?
Yes, our projection was about 37 million of that 192 would be TIF revenue.
So it gets you down to about 160 million. Divided by 5, still
Yeah.
a big number.
Still a big number, absolutely. And then last but not least, this is just kind of a cash flow summary, expenses versus revenues. You can see our year-end balance. We're projecting next year to end with a total of about 29 million, and that includes not only the road and bridge allocation, but also the motor vehicle Fund 292. That would pick up in 2027 because next year we have it's a big program but not a huge program. And then going past from 2028 to 2030, we kind of get back to basically spending what we have available. So some good news in that, in that we think we can deliver a fiscally balanced program. We are, I would say, in better shape than I think we thought we were 2 years ago. And I'll go all the way back to this cash flow forecast, which is the operating fund. We anticipating being nearly depleted of our funds by the end of the 5 years, thanks to or due to some projects being pushed out. We're in a little bit more stable environment right now in terms of our 5-year projections. So that's a good thing. I think we're where we need to be there. And then I think that's really all I have in terms of our 5-year plan. I was going to turn it back to Chris and let him take us home.
No, that's, but do you mind if I sit?
Oh,
and talk?
please,
fine.
please, just sit,
Where the
yeah,
microphones are.
yeah.
It should be on.
On?
It's on.
Okay. So as we look ahead, we're in good shape in some areas, and we've got some challenges in some areas. And so on the good shape side, I'm really pleased with the condition of the infrastructure that we have. We're able to invest in managing those assets in a way that keeps their condition at a high level, and investing in the preservation of those assets allows us to, cause us not to have to spend as much to rehabilitate and do major rehabilitation and reconstruction of things that we've already built. So there's a responsibility that comes with spending the kind of money that we have been on projects, and our payment conditions, I'd put against anybody else in the state. And our bridge program and our bridge inventory is the envy of most of the counties in the state. And so we're spending $3.5 to $4 million a year in road resurfacing program, and doing surface treatments and preventive maintenance treatments to our pavements, about 30 to 50 miles a year, and $1 to $2 million a year on bridges, either to rehabilitate or to replace structures. Fortunately, most of our big bridge structures are fairly new and really in good condition. And so we don't have, like in the next 10 years, a looming investment in a major project like we do with our railroad grade separation projects, or like a Big Walnut Interchange. Those kind of, we don't have a big bridge to, because we've tackled those and made those investments. So roadway safety, we continue to make strides to improve the safety of our roads and spend money that I think money well spent. Rob mentioned our emphasis on roundabouts, and I would just add, when we do a couple of the traffic signal projects that we have planned over the next year and the next 5 years, we will get criticism for not building roundabouts. and that's 180 degrees from where we were when we first started building roundabouts. So I think that's a significant thing. In the last few years, when we've put a signal head up, we get that question, why didn't you put a roundabout?
Well, I wish you had a roundabout at Hollenbeck and Old State.
Yeah.
That'd be a nice spot, but I know you studied it and can't do it, but.
That's a great question, Commissioner. It is something we looked at. We always look at a roundabout, every intersection we do. Unfortunately, that is one where there is so much traffic, a single lane the capacity of a single lane roundabout would only last about 5 years before you start getting that back up. And so we were somewhat left with no choice but to do a signal.
Yeah.
And with the signal, and with the directional traffic heavy in basically two directions of the intersection,
right.
We can do
East-west.
things with signal timing that you can't do with roundabouts. So.
Right.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago, actually, how many roundabouts we had, I think the number was around 27, 28. Where are we at today? You guys ought to know
We
this.
should
You're
know
building.
that.
We should.
Yeah.
It's around 30.
26
26.
today?
All right,
It took me 3 seconds to count.
Yeah.
yeah, 26.
So you don't really get many complaints about roundabouts
We
now.
really don't.
That's fascinating. That's
Yeah.
I think
evolved that
people
way.
have really gotten used to
Oh,
it.
they have gotten used to
They
them. They're all
see-
over the place.
I had a call from a colleague at an adjacent county asking me about roundabout. He was asking me about safety at an intersection, and I said, it'd be a really good candidate for a roundabout. And he said, I'd get shot here in my county if I tried to build. I'd try to build a roundabout. So, but it's a shift in mentality, and
Well, Cheshire and Old State, just a couple of weeks ago, I think I was on the way to bocce ball. No one in the roundabout, and the guy has to stop.
yeah.
So
But there wasn't an accident, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, that is, yeah.
But all that to say, the money we're spending on safety is significant, but it's well worth it. And when you boil down what our primary goal is, to have a safe, efficient transportation system for our county, safety's at the heart of that. So the cost of a single lane roundabout, $1.8 to $2.5 million per roundabout.
how does that compare to an interchange? And
To it, you mean a traffic signal?
Yeah.
Or
Very similar. It depends so much on how long the turn lanes need to be for a signalized intersection, but generally the same ballpark.
pretty much a wash.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah.
so.
Is one faster than the other? Because it seems like even the signals, it's like, they don't make whatever anymore.
Yeah.
I remember.
Roundabouts are definitely quicker. There's not the specialized traffic signal poles that you have with a signal. For whatever reason, there's only a handful of manufacturers,
Yeah,
fabricators
okay.
that build these traffic poles. And so yeah, a roundabout could be start to finish in 2 months. A signal, we may need to build the turn lanes and then wait on the signal a year. 'Cause lead
I
time
know,
is 12 to
we've
15
talked
months.
about that in particular
Yeah.
at 3C and.
Yes.
and,
The
Lena.
lead, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I did have a question too on what, where ODOT has been told by the legislature to put a highway through, we're,
The 23 to 71 connection.
yes, thank you. And they have come up with their, like I read part of what they put out. It was, have they chosen the one route,
No.
1 out of 3? Okay.
They have a corridor that there's corridors that they're
Okay.
studying, but I haven't seen, if they've selected a more precise alignment, I have not seen that.
Okay.
Well, I'm not really, and I've said this in that ODOT meeting, I'm not really care about Toledo's concerns. They can go down
Right.
75, hit 70, and come over, and not change the fabric of northern part of our county. That's just me talking.
Yeah.
Well,
In ODOT's defense, they didn't ask for this.
Yeah.
It wasn't
That's-
their
that's
idea.
right. I know that.
They didn't,
That's
We're just
right.
doing the study.
They didn't.
They're doing what they're directed to do by the legislature. That's how state government works. But I do have sympathy for the folks at ODOT that were handed this because, you know, they went through quite a process 3 years ago to look at a whole series of alternatives, and now they're being dictated to further study one of the alternatives that they dismissed in their previous study.
Yes, yes.
So I think we need to be careful not to be critical of ODOT specifically.
I'm not critical of them, I'm
I
critical
understand
of
that.
the legislature and in Toledo area. So,
There is an excellent article in the Gazette that was recently published of, quotes a farmer extensively about the damage that it will do. It's not just the land taking, I mean, it's all these other, silos, and I mean, all this. I mean, it's terribly destructive. And ag is our #1 business,
Yeah.
economic development business, so very, very disappointing.
Well, if I could close up with some of the challenges that we have real quick. We're doing a really good job taking care of what we have in terms of maintaining those assets.
Okay.
In a growing county, we have demands to expand our system. And our bridges aren't the problem, the condition of our pavements are not the problem, the capacity of our roadways is the real problem. And so low capacity, high congestion, quality of life issues, and they can create safety issues as well. Just to give you to take a 2-lane road to a 3-lane road where you're adding just a center turn lane, $8 to $12 million per mile. To add a lane in each direction, $15 to $20 million a mile. So you picture the stretch from Orange Road up to Lewis Center Road that Rob showed you. It's a couple miles. You know, it could be a $40 million project. So
that includes right-of-way as well as,
that's a total project cost, not just a construction contract. But those are, you know, railroad overpasses. We're working on 3 different railroad overpasses right now. All of those, you know, from 18 million to 35 to 40 million dollars. So the low-hanging fruit of projects that are inexpensive and have a big capacity generating impact are gone. And we're just going to continue to see larger projects that are going to need to fund. I can pledge to you that we'll remain diligent about trying to secure outside funding sources, both through the private sector partnerships and through grant grant funding from the state and federal government. We have a good record of securing that kind of money, those kind of monies, and we're gonna have, that has to be part of our strategy moving forward. So.
Yeah, I had a question too, but one intersection that is, it wasn't mentioned, I don't know, and we talked about it in the past years ago, it was Dublin Road and Home Road. I don't know if it's on your list or not, but what's the
It is.
status of that one?
Yes, so that is on our 5-year plan. I didn't highlight it in the presentation, but, so we've had some recent discussions with Concord Township about that. We've talked with ODOT. You'll see us within the next several months talking about needing to go ahead with the purchase of right-of-way. We have plans nearly done, and so I think we'll be forging ahead with that. We recognize.
That's another one where the traffic really
Yes.
backs up, both on
Yes.
Home Road and Dublin Road.
We're talking about on the west side of,
Yes.
you know, I'm gonna disagree a little bit. We did that study, and the only time there was really an issue was in the evening traffic coming home, and cars were taking 5-10 minutes to get through that intersection. We got the issue with that neighbor, those trees, and I'm not sure I'm all that excited about, on the list of things to do, that's probably way down my list.
Well,
So, just my observation.
what we could do is show you, we could get new drone footage today and how much different it is from it has changed dramatically.
Yeah.
Well, this was 3 or 4 years ago when we
The
saw it.
Jerome development has created a whole level of traffic generation of people that work in Delaware County or, and that east-west movement on Home Road through that intersection. There are times that that traffic queues up all the way across the bridge and into
Yeah.
the roundabout
Ooh.
on State Route 257.
Oh,
So
boy.
it is a much
Well, I think
much
the
more-
drone picture I was looking at was more north-south. So
Yeah,
I think it's the one that was kind of illustrated.
Yeah, it is the east-west that is the most glaring problem now, and it's much different than it was when we last looked at this. We did not have strong support from the township, which contributed to it losing some steam. I've heard from the township now that they're very interested in us moving ahead with the project.
Well, that'd be a change in
Yes.
philosophy if that's happening.
Okay, thank
So-
you very much.
Commissioners, Tracy Davies,
yes,
Administrator. I
Tracy.
just wanted to take the opportunity to thank the county engineer and the chief deputy engineer for their cooperation in working with us to adjust their budget. Without their willingness to do so, it would be much more difficult to bring forward a balanced budget.
Ah,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you.
We appreciate that.
Thank you very much. And any other, I guess we don't have any other questions. Okay.